On other person who's actually
Yeah.
Y'all muted?
Everybody.
Are we ready? Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is
So everyone needs to turn their computer on mute.
yeah, mute your computers. Because we've got like
Connected.
an echo chamber. Cindy? Are you muted? Awesome. Okay,
I didn't realize.
so this is, yeah, I did have that. So welcome, everybody. This is our 2019 graduate coordinator, graduate faculty and admin support meeting. We are coming to you virtually from the graduate school conference room. We hope you have popped your popcorn and are gathered around computers, and we very much look forward to some question and answers during this time. If you're just logging in, please make sure you also have logged into the Canvas shell where all of our presentations are. And because we're not going to go through them here, we wanted to make them available to you in advance, and also so that you can go back to them and review them. So we're going to start with, we're sharing our screens with you. And this is the presentation that I've just put together for an overview. And I think, you know, we really look forward to your feedback about how this presentation comes across, the ancillaries that have come in terms of the presentations and the documents. But also, I think what's important to us is when we're done, we want to take a good assessment of, did this work? Do we go back to face-to-face, or do we change it in some format? So joining me here in the conference room is many of the graduate school staff members and our colleague Dr. Dallas Everhart from Extended Campus. As we're flipping through this, again, much of this is for your information and an update. I want to take what few remaining moments I have left to leave some time for questions, but also to say, you know, as we have been working together with faculty, students, and staff, we've spent a lot of time on the graduate task force. We are going to repopulate that either late this semester or early in the fall, so we can begin a comprehensive review of academic graduate program, certificate endorsement, and licensure offerings. Again, just very quickly, the enrollment projections for next year are here. I think understandably, with the concomitant reduction in graduate funding, we are expecting a decline in enrollment. I know many of you are right now working on finalizing your incoming class, and we'll be working toward that through, you know, the end of May. So we're not down a terrible amount, but I do think, you know, some of the budget cuts we've needed to make as an institution is certainly going to have an impact on that. And then you can see the rest of the presentation, I think, to answer some questions that I would anticipate coming. No, I do not know yet about graduate funding for next year in terms of fall of 2020. We're set for the upcoming fall 19. I don't know whether any of it will be restored. I don't know right now our plan for distribution. So I'm certainly open to feedback about that, but I know that certainly would be a question for me as well. So how about questions for my part of the presentation? Send them into silence.
Most people are going to be muted, so.
Yeah, just want to remind you, if you're asking a question and I'm not responding, make sure you've taken your computer off of mute. All right. I'm done. Who's up next? We have marketing and recruitment staff.
Come on, Patrick. All right, come on now. Sure, this is good. Perfect.
I think I should text my staff and say, can you see me?
Okay. First of all, if anybody's having any audio issues or anything like that that can't hear us, please send in through the chat, because we have a couple different staff members that are going ahead to check that. But what we wanted to do, again, my name is Bryson Kelly. I'm the enrollment coach. And
And I'm Patrick Johnson. I'm the Digital communications and marketing specialist for the graduate school.
So hopefully some of you were able to kind of take a look at the presentation, because ultimately what we wanted to do is really kind of showcase from a marketing and recruitment perspective the functionality of Slate, and how we can now finally, from the time that I meet a student at a fair, be able to track every step that they make through the entire journey. So through the presentation, we use kind of a specific example, who's a real example. Randy is an individual that I met in Southern Utah, and we're able to really track everything that she interacted with, websites, all of that, but kind of start from the recruitment fair. So we can kind of go through these slideshows, but then if we have any questions.
Q&A.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to send those to us.
Or to ask them.
Or to ask them, you can just press unmute and go ahead and ask us.
So I'm just looking at the questions we got before. Didn't we have a marketing question?
We had one for extended campus, actually.
Right, so when you,
Yeah, we can ask that one.
so we'll do that in your time. Do we get questions yet?
Speak
How about if
now.
somebody asks a question just to test to see if the questions work?
This is Kim. I'm asking a question to test.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah.
How's Gunter Hall?
It's beautiful as always.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Our technology's working. That's great.
That is great to know. All right. Last call. Any questions for marketing or recruitment?
Hi there, this is Gillian McNally. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep,
we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, hey, it's working. I just have a question about, I'm sure like everyone, budgets for marketing. There's some publications where we usually put some ads. Is there money for that this year to help get the word out about our, I work with the theater education master's program.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
So Gillian, you're talking specifically about at the graduate level, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That'll be me.
That's Dallas.
So that'd be a question for Dallas.
So what's your answer?
Can't quite tell you yet. We're still looking at it. We have marketing funds that are available. And if you just give us a little bit of time to get through our model, then we'll share everything that we have.
Thanks.
It's your time. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, not quite at all.
okay.
Gotta have some fun.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have some questions.
Okay.
Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes.
Who is this?
Oh, okay. I think I clicked on the right thing finally. I don't know if my questions are connected with, this is Sandra Minton. I don't know if my questions are connected with what you're talking about right now, but I have had a number of students ask about scholarships and I remember when we had the meeting last April, you said there were scholarships listed somewhere on the extended studies site, but I don't know where that is. It kind of connects to marketing.
Yeah, actually not, but I'm going to answer it for you real quick because we do have a portion about assistantships and scholarships later. So
Yeah, we don't have assistantships in our program.
right, but that stuff is that presentation, the question time. We're just trying to organize our time so we can manage the questions. But to answer it, there's two sources that you can look at. Extended Campus does not currently offer scholarships. The site that I was referring to is either the financial aid site, okay, which lists all the foundation scholarships. And then I believe Dance gets a number of grad dean scholarships, which you guys directly
We get
assign.
them from the graduate school, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys directly assign those every year. So like if you offer a student a scholarship last year, that scholarship follows them until they finish. So every fall or every summer, whenever you're doing admissions, the new ones that you've got are just for new students because the other ones continue. But the critical thing, it's important, I'm appreciative that you asked the question because in my overview, one of the things I talked about very briefly was make sure everybody that your students are filling out the Universal Scholarship app, because if they don't fill that out and they don't get it submitted to financial aid, even if we have money, we can't give it to them because they're not on our list. You've got to make sure all your incoming graduate students, regardless of whether they have a GA or anything else, that they fill out the Universal Scholarship app to make themselves eligible.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
You bet.
Yeah.
So do we have any other marketing or recruitment related questions?
There are some on the chat.
Okay.
Okay. Great. So this one is for extended campus. So I'll just read it and then we can address it later, or we can even address it now, however we want to do that. This is from Dr. Pierce. Extended campus has done some targeted marketing based on faculty feedback in the past. Does the on-campus marketing office do this? Oh, I didn't even read the second part. So that's a great question. Do you want to go ahead and handle that? Yep, I'll repeat.
Repeat it there.
Yep. So the repeated extended campus has done some targeted marketing based on faculty feedback in the past. Does the on-campus marketing office do this?
Sure. In the past, we've met with faculty in each of the graduate degree programs. So if there's a specific question or comment or some marketing information you'd like, please feel free to reach out to me, Patrick.Johnson, and I'll be happy to answer any of those questions. Certainly any marketing information you may have for your program, I'd love to hear about.
I did give Margaret a long list of, this is Sandra again, websites in school districts where I've been through them, where there are dance teachers. And are you using that?
Would be for you, actually.
I will check on that. I'll find out. Who did you send it to?
I thought it was to Margaret White. Is it? Do I have the first name wrong?
Kathleen.
No,
Kathleen.
Kathleen.
Kathleen White.
I bet her first name is Margaret, though.
It might technically be.
So Dallas can check.
I'll check
Okay.
on that, if you would please, and just send me a quick email, dallas.everhart.unco.edu.
Okay, I think I still have it on my computer.
That'd be great. I'd love to hear what you
Yeah,
have.
because I'm not going into the school districts anymore. I don't have time to do that.
I agree.
You have another one on chat?
I don't see any others.
Great.
Who's next?
Great.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're up, Dallas boy.
Dallas is right next. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm the new guy, so
Hi.
ask away. Sounds like the first day of a freshman class.
Dallas, this is Hortensia Soto. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do at grad school?
Sure. At Extended Campus, I have three primary roles right now. I'm on a 12-month appointment, and I provide some day-to-day operations, management, leadership for the staff. We're looking at what's the most efficient way for us to operate. Then I'm looking at our business plans and reviewing all of those and saying, are they really helping us be successful in the future? A lot of our policies and plans from the past, times have changed, and we want to look at make sure we have the proper incentives in place, everything like that. So I generally look at it from the marketing view, a finance view, and an entrepreneurship view. That's a quick answer.
So we do have 3 questions that came in through the survey that we sent out. So do you want to address those? So the first one, you want to read it out
Right.
loud so people know?
What will be the available funding for extended campus grad programs for recruitment? And I think part of when we look at that, we look at what's the role of the coordinators and what's the role of our staff. And you can go to our Canvas page and look at that as well. I think there's some information there. But go ahead, Lindy, it looks like you're.
Oh, I was going to say, I think one of your 3 tasks is to talk about some restructuring plans. So I don't want people to get discouraged that everything is that we don't really know yet, but it is that we don't really know yet.
That would be the direct answer.
So here's your next one.
Okay. What are the extended campus grad program coordinators being paid for 2019 through 20? So right now, we haven't changed anything. And if we are going to change something, we need to have discussions with everybody that's involved. We need to share, if we made a change, why we would make a change, and then what would go forward.
Okay, then there's one more here. The proper chain of command for hiring instructors and extended campus.
What is the proper chain of command for hiring instructors for extended campus graduate programs? We work in partnership with the staff, with the faculty, and with the program managers.
Right.
I do not hire you directly.
Right. So part of it is if faculty have a recommendation for an adjunct, they would make that, is it to Ann O'Connor?
Yeah, we'd
then
go
consult.
through that, but we want to make sure that everybody's qualified and goes through the proper channels to be approved.
Because the other thing, and this is just in terms of grad school information, is that if you're having somebody who doesn't have a terminal degree, you have to go through the Higher Learning Commission process to make sure that they meet the equivalency for being able to teach at the graduate level and have either a graduate lecturer or graduate faculty status, because the courses do not count if the faculty member is not a member of the graduate faculty. And I mean count for credit, that's in Board of Trustees policy. Sounds like we got a question over the chat.
Yes. Do you have an idea of the direction extended campus is going to take based on the options proposed by the task force?
Task force gave us some information. They talked about a couple different
Gotta look at the
options.
camera, dude.
That's right. That's why you keep pointing at the camera. The camera's up there.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Look at him though. As always, I'm not that helpful.
I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on. I think the general message from the task force was, we need to make some improvements in an extended campus. That's what it came down to. There was some preferred statements. They talked about what is our structure. And, it was enough to say we need to make a change going forward. And I think that's the best news that came out of the task force. It looked at a couple of different options. It talked about, if I recall, the task force did talk about the colleges, did talk about the structure and the best way for us to operate. And that gives me and say, is that going to be a best practice for the University of Northern Colorado?
Right. So the outcome is, just in terms of, Dallas's work, is that he's got to meet with deans and students and faculty and say, so what's working, what's not. I think what we're trying to do is have some form of recommendations that clarifies the lines between programs, departments, and extended campus, and is really clear about who's doing what and how things are funded, and what, depending on what budget model we use, where funds are either directed or captured based on the work that you do. But
right, and we need to look at, who's the target market. So, we really want to look at who are we serving, because we serve different markets differently. And we want to make sure that we're using the right criteria for making decisions. Is it enrollments? Is it student credit hours? Is it classes? What are the key factors? What are the revenues? I think that'll have a lot to do with it. So there'll be a lot of analysis and a lot of data as well.
okay,
Others? Am
We
I
have
done?
2 questions.
2 more questions.
So the first one is, when will we find out about coordinator pay? Last year, we were informed 10 days before school, and it made it for a difficult year to start. We'll start with that one. And then the last one is about when will we have meetings with extended studies? There's been almost no communication.
Okay, at this point, I don't know if there's any changes, so we're proceeding as if there's no changes. My goal would be to give you more than 10 days notice, without a doubt, and I understand that. I'm sorry you haven't had communications with me. I'm getting out. I needed to spend some time reviewing the history of the extended campus at UNC. Very familiar with how we did it at CSU, and then while I was at CSU, I was part of the University Continuing Education Association, so I get the models. I just needed to spend some time to make sure I had the right perspective before I go out and meet with people.
So I think what might be helpful, because we had a lot of disruption around coordinator pay last year.
Okay.
And so I think what would be really helpful, and you need to talk about whether or not, yes or no, that you could commit to this. Could we tell folks who are coordinators by, let's say, the end of May, what their coordinator pay is going to be for next year, starting whenever their coordination starts over, like if their contracts come up again in August? Do we have enough confidence in that? Or not yet? And if we don't, we don't.
I would be hesitant to make that commitment right now.
Right.
And it's just because there's enough variables going on I want to be very careful not to make commitments that I can't live up to.
Even for the
So.
fall?
Yeah, I don't see anything changing.
Yeah, I don't either.
I really don't see anything changing. And
For the fall.
for the fall. And so I feel pretty confident that, let's put it this way. I'm about 95% certain it's not going to change for the fall. If for some reason it needs to change before the fall or at the fall, I would let everybody know ASAP. I don't see that's going to happen. So you can probably count on continuing with what we're doing right now for the time being for fall. Next spring, another story.
We good?
Okay.
Who's next?
This is Hortensia again. Can I ask a quick follow-up question to that, Dallas? Was the coordinator pay, is that for extended studies? Is that coordinator pay within the departments?
It's just extended campus. I'm pretty sure the deans don't want me setting their pay rates for them in their campus.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, different compensation
Yeah.
models on campus.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Kristen Rinaldi. I am currently covering the International Admissions Coordinator position, which has been vacant since September. We actually just hired somebody for the position. His name is Andrew Wesselman, and he'll be starting April 8th. So you'll have somebody new to communicate with any questions you have about international admissions. We just wanted to update you on a few changes that we've made to be more efficient. The Center for International Education is now handling all of our international recruitment. They are also handling, there we go. They are also now handling the intensive English program. Before we were processing applications and doing admission for that. They have completely taken that over since it is their program. And then in the past, we were processing and issuing the immigration paperwork, such as I-20s. The CIE has taken that over as well, so that we can really separate admissions from immigration. So those are really the updates that I have for international admissions. I don't know if anybody has any questions. All right.
All right, cool.
Oh, do I actually have to move?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you switch that to Janice?
I'll try.
I've just been typing the important stuff.
Where am I typing?
So Marissa, ask how if the transcription's coming through.
Oh, yes. Is anyone using the closed captioning option that we have? I'm doing a horrible job and I apologize for that, but is it coming
You're
through?
doing just fine.
Okay, I'm trying to just catch the important bits.
You're doing better than YouTube or.
Low bar.
That's not saying much, but okay. Thank you though. So I'm Marissa Boston, Slate Technical Support Lead for the graduate school. Okay, perfect. So I'm just here. Do you have any questions about Slate? I know a lot of you have reached out to me individually when you have questions. But if there's anything large scale, feel free to ask.
Got a question from Dr. Smith. How long will we have access to process applications on Slate after a decision has been made?
At this point, we don't have a firm retention policy in place. After we've gotten through this first semester of Slate and probably the first full year, we're going to look at possibly, keeping them in Slate for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. We are keeping all applications for admitted students in Extender, which is there for long-term storage. But we're up for any suggestions. So if you guys find Slate easy to use and navigate, and you really want to have those applications there for viewing, let me know, because we can definitely take that into consideration when we look at retention policies for Slate.
So there's a question that came in from the from the survey. So it says our department tracks application admits denials using an Excel file on SharePoint. Because Slate does not provide information after a decision has been made, I feel there has to be a way for Slate to provide us up-to-date admission numbers so we no longer have to duplicate on Excel. Amen, brother or sister, which is quite tedious when we can't copy and I think they need paste. from Slate into Excel. Is it possible for Slate to be user-friendly in this manner?
Yes, we've had many requests for that. So over the next few months, it's going to be one of our focuses for summer. We are actually going to be writing your guys' reports to go out in Excel spreadsheet format. So by fall 2019, instead of getting the PDF document that you currently get, we're going to send those out in a spreadsheet format that's going to be much more easy for you to copy and paste from and select data and filter it out. But again, any suggestions, if there's something in particular you want to see come through with those reports, just let us know and we'll definitely get as much of it in there as we can. But fall 2019 is our goal.
So as a follow-up, I think this answered it. Dr. Smith asked, can we request that we receive email updates for what is in our queues for once a week? Is that going to be the same report?
No, so right now you get daily updates, but we can actually change that to weekly to let you know what's in your queue. Because a lot of you, if you have hard deadlines, you're not looking at applications every day. You're waiting until the deadline approaches. So if that's something you're interested in, absolutely let me know and we can make those adjustments so that you're not getting those emails every day.
Another question from the survey is, how is Slate working? What is the assessment data on it?
At this point, I won't lie, we don't have tons of data because spring 2019 is our very first term for using Slate as a live program. It's been up and running for 9 months, and so far we're seeing improvements as far as turnaround time. Just off the top of my head, about 74% of applications that came in through Slate for the spring 2019 semester were fully completed and a decision was made on them, whether it be admitted or denied, which is far higher than what we were seeing with our previous processes. Yay, people like Slate.
People, how many of them have popped their popcorn?
How many of you have popped popcorn? Linda needs to know.
All right.
And I will share with you, you guys got popcorn and we didn't, and that's unfair.
Very sad.
So
Oh,
be thankful that you got popcorn.
be thankful that we're not talking about popcorn in our mouth.
That's true.
Okay.
Slate is great. Marissa is awesome.
Thank you. And yeah, feel free to email us
Actually, our
with any
chair
other
got the
questions
popcorn.
regarding Slate.
You hear that? Actually, our chair got the popcorn.
Right.
That'd be Dr. Nelson.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Actually, our chair got the popcorn.
Good job. Oh, way to go, Dr. Heiss, sharing the popcorn.
Cindy Beth says she's eating jelly beans.
Even better.
Good afternoon. I'm Janice Hooper. I'm the admissions coordinator for the domestic admissions program. I've got quite a bit of detail in that presentation, a lot of stats about what I do at my desk. If you have any questions about those, please let me know. Also, a lot of information about the new program change form. Used to be called the change of major, but with your input, we've changed the title of that to reflect that a student can use that form for anything to change within their same degree level, down from a degree level, to add a certificate, to add a degree at the same level, or to remove something off of their program. So the change of major form has been updated quite a bit. If you have questions about it, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. I hope that it's more user-friendly than it was before. The question that keeps coming up that I've heard a lot about is, what do we do with folks who don't meet the standard for admission to graduate school? That question is answered by my presentation. We take a holistic look at how people are presenting to us, what they bring to the table with them besides their GPA. Faculty have the option to write their letter of justification, to add information to the decision. Students' work history, volunteer history, letters of recommendation, those things are also used as part of that decision process. So it's possible for students to be admitted to our program with a GPA below 3.0, and I hope that the detail you need is in the presentation. Last piece that I covered was just a few additional items that are coming up in the changes to the grad catalog. We hope that students will either defer and change their start term if they're not able to start during the term that they're admitted for, or they will be inactivated and then they'll reach out to us to be reactivated when they're ready to start. It doesn't mean they're not able to start. It just means that they need to contact us to make sure they can be reactivated. That will take place during the first term, and we hope to have that built into Slate. So deferral requests will come through Slate. You can approve them through Slate rather than by an email to me. Just a couple things to note. If you're going to request a change to a student's application, please forward to me the email thread or communicate with me that the student's been notified of that change. And if a student is trying to decline their offer of admission, the best route is for them to log back into their portal and decline for themselves.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay, thank you all very much.
So I'm just gonna slide in here for a real quick second. So folks, we've had a couple questions about the GPA policy, and I want to be really clear. We've not changed the admission standards for the graduate school. Okay, it's still a 3.0 GPA. What we have changed, and we did this in consultation with talking to grad council for, I don't know, 3 semesters, and providing information to folks. What we're doing is, rather than having students send in multiple transcripts, which we don't use, can we stop the presentation for just a minute? We found that, was it 40%, Marissa?
Yes.
Of the transcripts students sent in, we never looked at, okay? And it was an expense to a student. It delayed admissions. So what we made a consultative decision about was to use either their last GPA from the degree program, or if they were in a graduate program or had graduate credits, that we would get the transcripts from those institutions. So the standards haven't changed the way we have, and also it saves the graduate school staff a lot of time so they can focus on being more efficient. So if you have a student who you wish to admit who's below the 3.0 standard, everything is the same. You still, request either, I know we don't use the word provisional anymore, additional requirements, because our obligation and your obligation is to make sure students admitted to the university who don't meet the admission standards demonstrate the capacity to reconcile their academic record with the admission standards of the university, okay? So I think there's been we've needed to refine our message to you all that, again, we've not changed the standards for admission. We are changing the way we calculate it, and it's consistent with almost every other university in this region. More efficient for students, less costly, and you still have a way to get students who might be in that 2.8 to 3.0 range, and some others that might be lower than that, to put a plan in place for additional requirements. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, because we had a number of emails that came in that I think, back in the fall, late fall, that it didn't seem like we did a good job of making our message clear. So who's up next?
Cindy and Carol.
All right.
I feel like the Price is Right.
Come on down. Really, you're not walking, Wesley?
No, I'm not.
Ooh,
I'm
we do have a
practicing.
question from Dr. Hummel. Is the graduate school considering eliminating the GRE requirement for PhD degrees?
No. So that's a great question, and one we've addressed before in grad council. I think we're certainly open to having those discussions, but I think we need to talk about, as Janice mentioned, the holistic admissions process for the university, because right now it's a university, not a departmental requirement. So, we certainly can either do that through grad council or through, we're happy to come and talk to small groups of doctoral programs about it, to see what folks think, because some universities have gone away from it. So I would say I'm open to it, but non-committal at this point about making a decision.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Hi, folks. I'm Cindy Wesley.
I'm Carol Stewart. I work with thesis, scholarly projects, and dissertations. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do. This is Sandra again.
Hi, Sandra.
Can I go? Hi. Are you still going to have a list of the forms that are required at different deadlines when the students are working on their thesis? Is that still going to be on the graduate school website?
It's currently on there.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, we only do that in the fall, so I haven't looked at that recently.
It's 2 years in advance, the deadline.
All the deadlines and all the forms are on there.
Yes.
Yes. And
Sandra,
they,
we'll have somebody send you the link to the page.
Okay, thank you.
sure.
You have a question? Can we fully align formatting to MLA? Right now, grad school rules and MLA are not exactly the same. This causes tons of confusions for students.
No, at this point, the graduate school format still takes precedence, and you work in the MLA along with the graduate school format that is in place.
I love the paperless process. We are working with 2 students thus far. The students are positive. Just to be sure, the signature pages do not have to be on good paper.
Signature pages do not have to be on any specific paper. We still require at least 2 original signatures for filing in the graduate school and with the library archives. If the student is going to print and bind this semester or summer semester, they need to submit 1 more original for their bound copy, per copy that they are going to bind.
Why are grad school and MLA not the same?
I'll take that. Hi, guys. So a great question. Why are the graduate school requirement or the graduate school standards and MLA not the same? Because we would have our APA folks asking the same question and folks that publish in different journals. So we're trying to standardize in terms of saying this is a university document and that there are standards for publication for it, much like if you did any journal publication, you'd have to format it to their standards. And I think what we're trying to do is have, and we're certainly open to having more discussion about what that looks like in the digital format, because we won't have a number of the requirements that we've had before. But for the university, we have to have a consistent format.
Thank you for the questions. Do you have any more?
Yeah, I have another question. This is Sandra again. Is the formatting for the signature page still the same, or has that changed?
It is still the same.
Okay. Thank you.
Always check on our website. We will have updates on there.
Okay.
We can also take questions about graduate faculty status or doctoral committees. That shut it down.
Maybe folks could respond on chat about how digital measures is going.
Yes. Yeah, we wonder how digital measures is going for people, but only with regard to graduate faculty applications, not with regard to any other use of digital measures.
This is Hortensia Soto. I haven't used it for the graduate faculty status. I'm scheduled to attend the meeting. I hate digital measures. But anyway, I'm not looking forward to using it again, but okay, I will. So anyway, my 2 cents.
I do have some suggestions in the presentation. Basically, all you're needing to do is upload your PDF in there. The signatures are all through digital measures. You don't send them to your chair through email anymore. So hopefully that will save you some time and headache.
We have a question. If students go with the alternative format, what is the thinking about copyright issues if one of their articles is published?
So if your article is published, we need to have permission from the publisher to include it in your dissertation. And we need to have the information about the publication the publisher in the title page for that chapter. Does that make sense? And all of that is explained in the format handbook for the dissertation and for the thesis.
So this is Linda. I want to just add a piece. When we did this a number of years ago with chemistry, one of the things that for the graduate school that we need to be able to verify, because the dissertation is primarily the student's scholarly work, we like to have a conversation with folks because many of the publications involve faculty. And so we've done that somewhat informally, just to have a conversation with the chair and say, you know, basically the article that's been published, what was the student's contribution and what was yours? Because sometimes, you know, faculty are second authors, and we're just trying to verify that for the dissertation. So you might anticipate, if you're having students, which we fully support, put their published articles as part of their dissertation, that you can anticipate a call from Cindy or I to check in on the work load that was actually the students in the publication.
Okay. If you have any other questions, you can chat them to us during the rest of the meeting or reach out to Carol or me anytime.
All right, thank you.
What are you looking for?
My grade book.
Oh, it's not here.
Laura Holsey.
Come on down, come on down.
I want to check the mic to see if you can all hear me. I'm going to sing my presentation.
We're sorry.
I like that.
We're
Go
sorry
for
in
it.
advance.
No, I'm not going to. I am Laura Holsey. I've been at the university for 133 years now, and I work with degree compliance, which includes graduation. I have made a presentation for you that covers the majority of your questions that I get on a daily or weekly basis. But if you have not had an opportunity to look at it, it's spectacular, first of all. And second of all, you can get a whole. I do want to say that I am a traveling show, and that I know many have invited me to faculty meetings or to meet with your students to discuss many of these issues. DegreeWorks is always my #1 show, but I hear, especially with doctoral students, the concern with continuous registration. So if you ever would like me to come for a Q&A with your students or your faculty, I'd love to meet with you. Are there any questions today? So while you're thinking of those questions, I would like to make sure everybody's invited to graduation on May 3rd. It will be the largest ceremony that we've had at the graduate school. We have an increase in our master's students graduating this semester, along with our doctoral students. We're planning to hood about 69 doctoral students. I always say that the only reason I keep my job is because of graduation, because it is such a celebration. So I invite all of you to attend. You guys are making this way too easy for me. I really am going to sing unless somebody sends a question.
Can you sing the fight song?
I can sing the fight song.
Do you know the lyrics?
No.
I know you know the melody.
I can hum the fight song. Okay, well, this is great. Obviously, daily communications with you have worked, but again, I invite you to invite me to a faculty or to meet with different classes of students, because I'm always ready with an answer for your many questions.
Okay, questions came in.
I'll read it. We have a master's student who did not complete his thesis defense and did not do continuous registration. Can he come back to defend?
Look at the camera.
It's up there.
What?
Defended didn't do continuous registration.
Are
How long
they?
have they been gone?
Yeah, I would need you to contact me. We need to see how long the student has been gone. At the master's level, they're only assessed the $150 continuous registration fee, the semester they're defending their thesis if they're not enrolled. My concern would be that if the student has been gone for longer than 1 year, we have already communicated with the student that their program has been inactivated. So whoever's sending this great question to me, be sure and email me, and we will research the student and let you know where they're at.
Got another question. If a student submits an application for graduation and then changes the courses they're taking to complete their degree, do they need to submit a new application for graduation?
No. As long as those courses are approved through the catalog, they are fine. We do have students go rogue, and they will meet with you and fill out the application, and you will say to them, I need you to complete SRM 600 for your degree. They will go rogue and dance. Please don't take this as an insult, but they'll decide to take dance instead of SRM 600. We will notify the student that they are not eligible to graduate unless they meet the requirements of their specific degree. But for instance, Bryson sitting next to me, in his program, he can take either SRM 600 or SES 600. If on the application for graduation, you and your advisor,
Dr. Stellino.
Dr. Stellino, have written that you're going to take SRM 600 and then you decide no, SES 600 would be a better match, that is already an approved course. So no, there would be no reason for a new application.
But if it's not in their plan of study, they have to file a course substitution form, right?
Yes.
Tell them that, so they don't.
File what she said. If it is a course that's not in the catalog, and you guys have been phenomenal with this, if it is a course that's not in the catalog, you will need to complete, well, the catalog or a plan of study, both instances, they have to complete a course adjustment form and send it to me. Are we good? Yay.
Yep, I think we're good. Susan. Come on down.
Hi, I'm Susan Pryor. I'm the Financial Awards Specialist, and I've got some slides about eligibility. It's a little bit like solving a mystery sometimes to make sure a student really is eligible to hold an assistantship. But there are a few main things that we do look at. The student must be admitted to a graduate degree program and maintain at least a 3.0 GPA and enroll in at least 3 credit hours per fall and spring semester. And then for those who have fiscal year appointments, they do need to be registered for at least 1 credit hour in the summer. And one of the main changes that we've got this year is a proposed policy change where the tuition waivers would post to student accounts after the add drop period. And this would help accommodate changes to registration, and it would help ensure that waivers are entered accurately, which should result in fewer adjustments to student accounts. And our understanding is that loans would still hit student accounts first. We will be making a decision, hopefully on that by April 30th. I'm going to certainly keep you posted on what's decided. Are there any questions?
So Susan, can you share that that wasn't just a financial aid for us to change a procedure, not a policy?
Not the bursar's office.
Oh, okay, whoever.
That was a request actually from the bursar's office to change our policy. We've always tried to have the waivers applied before the end of the add drop period.
We have a question that is a little bit on both sides, both admissions and assistantships. What if the applicant has a GRE score below the grad school requirement? Can that student get an assistantship if the cumulative GPA is less than a 3.0?
Greater than.
Oh, sorry, greater than. Sorry. Thank you. I wasn't reading. Is greater than a 3.0. Thank you, Dr. Smith. I see that.
Okay, so I'll take this one. So if the question is, if the applicant has a GRE score below the grad school requirement, okay? Well, the first part of that is, Dr. Smith, that we've got to make sure that we can get the student admitted. And if you have them do the additional requirements, which we can work with departments on the GRE. So if we get them admitted and they have additional requirements, the issue for holding a GA or TA is that they maintain a 3.0 while they're here. Because if they're admitted and you're in their program, they're in your program, they're good to go. What we do is, Susan, every December after you all have posted grades, the next week we run a report to see if anybody's dropped below the 3.0 GPA. And we've been contacting departments as soon as we can to say, if they drop below 3.0, we try to work with folks, if they're in the 2.8 or 2.9 range, but we've had some students that have dropped to like a 2.4, 2.5, and we do pull their GAs at that point because we need them to focus on their education. So long answer, but short answer is yes. Once they're here, they maintain a 3.0. Even if they were what we used to call provisionally admitted, they'd be fine.
Another question, based on Susan's information, should we just tell our GAs not to freak out about the tuition waiver posting until after ad drop? How long after will they be asked to pay the balance before the waiver is posted?
At this time, I don't know that I would mention the change. We will know by April 30th if we're actually going to make this change. And they will still have the same billing due dates. And I believe the first due date for the fall is September 25th.
And so I'm going to just pop in here again because Susan is awesome at this. I think I agree with, if we can hold off on telling anybody until we just need to meet with the bursar's office, we will, you should write this down because I'm committing us to something. We will send out, I know, right? People are like, great. We will send out a communication to coordinators about what the decision was, and we will provide you language that you can share with students, because I think whoever sent that question, I'm really appreciative of it, because maybe we need to, not maybe, we will talk with the bursar's office about not making those deadlines so tight, so that if we're sequencing their payments differently, if the students aren't even getting their tuition waivers loaded until after drop ad, and the other part of the university is shoulder tapping them for payment, we just create a hassle for them that they don't need. So we'll talk with the bursar's office and we'll be back in touch with some follow-up.
That's fabulous, Linda. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Says.
Oh, he said that.
Yeah, I was just repeating them.
Awesome.
What you said.
Kim Mirza.
Yeah.
I'm next.
Office of Research, sponsor program.
And is there anybody after that? And I'm doing that in the
And
closing.
then you're doing that in the closing remarks.
Awesome.
You have 4 minutes.
At 4 minutes? Yeah, they're gonna turn me off before that. So folks, I'm gonna do just a quick update on the Office of Research because there's been a lot of moving parts. Do we have my
I am going there, sorry.
Susan? She's got a lot of really good information. That Pink Panther's killing me. Because there's music, yeah. You have to turn the music on so you can hear the Pink Panther piece. So in terms of the Office of Research and sponsored programs, several things. We are replacing a number of staff. As many of you know, Chira Mathis left in February. We are hiring a budget and contracts person. We have final interviews this week. And then Sally Goebel is retiring effective. Well, she's having knee surgery. And then going to be retiring. So we're trying to put a person in place before she leaves. I was just notified this morning too that Tricia Brinton is going to be leaving at the end of May. So we are going to turn over a fair number of folks in the Office of Research and Sponsored Projects. And I also spoke with Dr. Anderson, Provost Anderson this afternoon about making sure we can get those folks on before our current great staff leave. Also, I don't know if the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs is on this presentation right now, but I also want folks to know that we're honoring Sally Goebel at the Distinguished Scholars Ceremony next Thursday. So if you've worked with Sally, or if your colleagues have worked with Sally in sponsored programs, it'd be a nice time to come and pay her some, I don't know, accolades for the work that she's done here, because she's been at UNC for a long period of time. Also, is the moving parts here in Carter Hall. At some point, the Office of Research, I believe, will be moving into Carter Hall, but we don't have a date about when that is going to happen, so stay tuned. What else have we got? What's really exciting is that we are about to purchase a grants management software package, which will allow us to track budgets, expenditures, submissions, reports for sponsored programs, all types of grants. We are going to start implementation this summer. When the team comes to campus, we're going to be setting up contacts for faculty in the fall, so we have full implementation. I think we're also going to be able to have the IRB platform with this software, so we'll have one system, which will mean that we will eventually be phasing out, like in the fall or early in the spring, IRB net. And I will tell you, it's amazing because it will improve our compliance and reporting functions. Right now, when we need to run a report or to complete the herd survey that we do annually for the university, the staff in the Office of Research and Sponsored Projects literally have to mine Excel spreadsheets because that's the state that our data is in. So we're looking forward to that, and stay tuned for more news on that. And then again, next Tuesday, I sent out an email and then I had to correct it because I was moving too fast. Next Thursday is our Distinguished Scholars Ceremony. We're recognizing Dr. Joseph French from Montfort College of Business. We're doing it a little differently this year. We're going to have the poster sessions like we've had before. So if you're interested in presenting or providing one of your posters, we're going to have light hors d'oeuvres, and then we'll have the ceremony right at noon, which involves recognizing certainly the chairs of IRB, FRPB, and Dr. French, and then a couple of individual awards that OSP gives out. Anything else there?
Yep, we have a question. It says this is not related to current, or this is related to current IRB review, so perhaps not in the area of responsibility of any speakers, and I can certainly understand that the IRB board is probably overwhelmed. Exempt reviews are taking about 1 month. This is really a problem for students' progression.
Oh, that's an awesome question. Thank whoever asked that. So part of what I've been talking with the IRB board about, and I've been talking with the Office of Research staff about is, and I just talked a couple weeks ago confirming with the IRB board, our intention to shift our practice in the Office of Research. So we are moving all exempt reviews to Nicole Morse in the Office of Research and Sponsored Projects for review. This is how most of the universities our size and larger do. They have a staff member who has training. So we will be moving exempt reviews to her. The IRB board will manage the expedited and full board, and will consult in terms of research compliance and academic integrity. I think that's, we're celebrating the contributions of both Maria Lehman and Megan Stellino. They are stepping away from the co-chair position. So we're recruiting from the board. Someone's unmuted, but that's okay. We are recruiting from the board for co-chairs, and then also we'll be recruiting for IRB members. So we want to be able to streamline the process, be responsive to students and faculty with exempt protocols. And this is something that Nicole did when she was at Mississippi State, so it's not unfamiliar, but I want folks to understand that it's really going to be a consultative role. If there's any questions that she has, she would either consult the IRB chair or co-chairs, depending on what structure we have, and or me, or we would reach out to other folks if we had questions about that before approving them. So that's my last slide.
One other question, has the director of ORSP position been posted? If so, is it an internal or external search?
It is a national search. David Hydock has generously agreed to be the chair of that search. It's him and I, Kyle Ward, Matt Wills, and I believe someone, I'm forgetting the last person, but we have applications that we're going to be reviewing and hope to hire. And we've moved that from an associate director to a director's position. So like I said, we have 4 searches that we need to complete in the Office of Research. But we've got a couple of really good candidates that we're looking at, and we'll have time for the committee to review, have a session for faculty to meet with the candidates. They'll meet with the dean, and I'm not sure whether or not the provost wants to meet with them, but we'll check. So we'll be asking you to come to some of those, or we'll be arranging meet and greets with all the candidates. So I think we have come, well, actually we're beyond our time. We want to thank you all. You'll be receiving a link for a survey about the presentations, about how we presented. We really want to hear from you. We're not sure this is the exact right way to do this, but We want to be respectful of people's time, and we all have a number of things going on this term. So give us feedback, good, bad, in between. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.